You're in New England, right? Or are you in New York?
I am in one town north of Burlington, Vermont, right on Lake Champlain.
Oh, so you're like right on the border with Canada then.
2 hours. I can get the border in an hour, and then Montreal in two.
Oh, nice. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, so yeah, you're close. So you're I guess primarily working remote then, huh?
Yeah. So we started Informal 8 years ago ish,
Mhm.
and it was myself and my co-founder Nate. I'm a mechanical engineer. He's like the marketing go-to-market strategy guy, and we founded Informal over like a mutual love of freelance and consulting and moonlighting. And this was pre-COVID. We got really good at working remotely, and even though we were together in Brooklyn,
Yeah.
we did a lot of online work. COVID hit, and everyone panicked. And I remember I remember listening to an NPR article of people complaining about working remotely, being like, "It's so hard." And we're like, "We do this all the time. What are you talking about?" And so we were a little ahead of the curve, and then have just
Nice.
gotten better at it faster than others, I think. And yeah, we're fully remote. Nate's in the Bay Area now. We have people all over the world that we work with.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I forget how we initially got connected, but I don't remember if I connected with you or Nate, but when I was laid off in 2020 during COVID,
Yeah.
one of our family friends, George's son, who had worked at the MIT Media Lab, I think he knew Nate. And it must have been like right around the time you guys started Informal, and he was saying, "Hey, you should check this out and
Yeah.
get with these guys if you're looking for work." And yeah, I think I went to one of the virtual hardware meetups, and I've kind of been watching like everything you guys have been doing from a distance, and I think it's really great. I've had this conversation a couple times now. I'd say in the last month or two, but I'm really getting the feeling like a lot of businesses are going to start going to not like freelance models, but models where they're using a lot more contractors and less like internal hires, just as like the
Mhm.
economy is getting rockier, and the world is kind of changing a lot. I'm seeing a lot of like downsizing. And so it feels like what you guys are doing really, to me, like feels like the future of like product development in a lot of ways.
We hope
Um,
so.
yeah, yeah.
It's interesting. Like we have way too many ways we work, which gets confusing on calls where I'm like, oh, we can do this, we can do that, we can do this. But like one of the really interesting aspects is exactly as you mentioned, like kind of staff augmentation and contract to hire engagements where, small design and engineering firms will hire us to backfill their roster. I need a firmware developer
Mm.
for 6 months because I won this big contract, right? Once that's done, you don't want to pay their salary, their benefits, et cetera. And
Right.
frankly, they don't want to work for you. They want the flexibility and creativity and freedom. So it's this really interesting, like everyone wins situation where you can staff up and down. Whether or not you tell your clients, we don't really care. We're not in the business of like, we're in the business of putting people on cool projects and then getting out of their way. And
Yeah.
so whether or not they're billing through us or like we're a consulting partner or we're just invisible, doesn't really matter. So we have a bunch of different ways we engage with clients. Sometimes we're like, this is like, we'll do industrial design and Informal does the DFM and then we pass it off to our manufacturing partner. Other times we handle all the stuff. Other times like one of our partners do. And it's like, makes it really hard to articulate sometimes, but it makes it really flexible and like kind of fun, really fun. We're basically the Rolodex for anyone who needs talented hardware folks.
Oh yeah, that's a good analogy. That makes a lot of sense.
Nate likes
Um,
to say we're like the old Jewish matchmakers who are like, I have the perfect firmware engineer
right.
for you. And he's awesome. He does this. So yeah, we don't just show 100 resumes of a mechanical engineer, but we listen to the client. They say they need to know 3D printing experience and use Onshape and be in New England. Boom, I have 3 people for you. And so that's kind of what we do in the back end is like, we're not just giving you everyone, we're giving you the right people. And then hopefully you can make that decision and keep going.
Yeah, that's great. That's really cool. So I'm curious, like, I'd love to roll back the clock because like
Yeah.
I think we've like bumped into each other a couple of times, but I don't really like know you super well. But I'm curious. So like how did you kind of get to this point? Like what was the journey? Like did you grow up in Vermont? Have you always sort of lived there? I know you have a
Born and raised
background in
New
mechanical
England.
engineering. Yeah.
Yeah, I was born and raised in New England in a town called Winchester. Um, like really nice town, quiet, sleepy. And I was the nerdy kid who was in the robotics club and
Yep.
with a camp counselor. I had my first internship at Kiva Systems, which became Amazon Robotics. So when I was like 16, I was learning like what a real engineering firm does, and
Wow.
was very lucky to get connected with like a machine shop and learn how to design parts then. So I entered college kind of knowing a peek behind the scenes of like what it's like in the real world, which made me like really excited. And I was not the best student, but I went to the University of Vermont up here, mechanical engineering, BS and Mechie, and it's not like the strongest engineering program in the world. I'm not gonna lie,
Yeah,
but
that's what I was gonna ask. Like Vermont, I wasn't sure like
it's
what.
not known for it.
Yeah, yeah.
um, I know some very very smart people who graduated in my program, but like we're not a top 10 engineering school. We are a state college
Mhm.
in the mountains, and so I went because I loved Vermont and wanted to know how to do engineering. But I fell in love with 3D printing early. My junior year of college, we had a class learn how to use SolidWorks, and I loved CAD programs. I had been playing with them for years already, and was pretty good at it. And I loved 3D modeling stuff. We had a class where we were going to design a chess piece, and at the end of the class, they would put it on their big Stratasys 3D printer machine, and everyone gets that part you designed, which sounded really exciting. But then the machine broke. This was 2011,
Oh, yeah.
so it
Okay.
wasn't
Yep.
like
So
you had a
early.
yeah,
Yeah.
you didn't have a replicator sitting around, or like
Right.
my office full of 3D printers.
Sure.
Um, so it was really exciting that I'm going to get a part made. It broke, and I don't think I ever got my part. So one night I went online and bought a kit for like one of the really early, not Prusa, but oh my god, one of the original rep wraps. That's what it was called.
Oh, huh. I haven't heard of that.
So
But yeah, I remember that era. There was like that was when
yes,
you were starting to see Kickstarters for like a 3D printer in your home. It was like a very
mm-hmm.
novel thing at that time.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So I built one junior year. I was that weird kid with a cat and 3D printer, and
Yep.
I was like printing shot glasses and like making things. But back then they would just break all the time. So like if something came out, you'd be really excited, like, "Hey, it worked." Completely different than the world we have now, like the
Mhm.
bamboo printer for $300 that works every day. But that got me on the 3D printing train. Graduated UVM and landed a job at MakerBot Industries in Brooklyn, and that's where I kind of got thrown into the deep end. They taught me design for manufacturing. I went to factories in China. We were making things stateside and overseas, and
Oh
kind of
wow.
learned a little bit about like domestic manufacturing and Chinese manufacturing. And I rode that roller coaster of like big startup. I think I was employee 260 when I joined, and within a couple of weeks we had 600 people. Just like crazy swelling of
Wow.
growth. And then obviously got acquired, the bubble burst, everything kind of fell apart. But I learned a ton. I was like a team lead on the MakerBot Method 3D printer, and I found my sweet spot was sitting between mechanical engineers and industrial designers and preventing them from killing each other. So like being able to talk and understand design intent, but also understand mechanical engineering requirements was really hard. And there's like a spectrum of engineers where they're like, leave me alone. I'm in my cave. I just want to build the best gantry in the world, right? And then
Mhm.
there's the industrial designers who are like, it's got to look perfect. I don't care about manufacturing. There's this
Right.
weird overlap. And I filled that overlap of being like, can't do this, can't do that. Let's meet in the middle. And I found that really fun. So I got really good at that.
That's really interesting. So, because I talk to a lot of designers, and I'm assuming most people who like listen to this are probably in the design industry. Like, from your perspective, like what makes a designer like ideal for ideal to work with from like an engineering standpoint? Like, what are things designers can do better for like to have like better harmony with development?
I've worked with probably 60 industrial designers in my life now, which is crazy.
That's a
I
lot. That's
think
more than I've worked with, I think.
it's the beauty of like running what I do, right? Is like I always chat with them.
Mhm.
Um, I think a good industrial designer understands manufacturing constraints, the high level DFM rules for injection molding, but also when to break them. And I worked with this really fantastic industrial designer early on. His name is Mark Palmer. He works at Intuitive Robotics. He was the head of industrial design at MakerBot, and he really like took me under his wing kind of as like, I was almost his like secret weapon. I was like the mechanical engineer who
Nice.
could kind of, I don't know, it was like bona fides to his ideas, but he was always proposing things like a crazy overmold, but it is possible because here's this product that did it, right? And so having examples, tearing things apart, understanding how things are made, and understanding when you can like push back on engineering is really important, but not being a diva where it's like, it has to be this, right? I have a lot of feelings about Apple as a product design leader, pushing the limits in very cool ways, but then the trickle down effect is like a startup can't do what Apple does. And industrial designers sometimes forget that. And so we're getting like requests for projects that are all machined out of aluminum. And it's like,
Oh yeah.
like, do we really need that? Or like perpendicular walls or micro drilled holes. So sometimes that gets really hard. So I guess my rambling answer is a good industrial designer knows when to push back on engineering and when to like rely on them to help. And similarly, a good engineer values design and is willing to be creative to solve problems instead of being like, it can't be done that way or it's too hard, right? Like it's a partnership. That's what it is. It's a team.
Yeah, for sure. No, I think that's a really good answer for sure. Yeah, that's interesting. Okay, so you were at MakerBot, and then I was looking kind of at your background. I saw you worked at Vimeo for a while, which I thought was interesting because my interpretation of them is more of it's like a video platform, not necessarily for physical products.
Here's another hand wavy story.
Yeah.
I got hired to work at a company called Mevo, and Mevo made live streaming video cameras for a company called Livestream. And so I got hired. I was like part of a 5-person hardware team at Livestream, and big software team doing software-y things with a little hardware pet project company underneath it. And then we got acquired by Vimeo, and they fundamentally were like, we don't understand this. As far as my take was like, we get live streaming video, awesome. We'll bring everyone in, or like, reorg. But like, what the hell is this? And it was like 6 of us in a room going to China, building things, and it's completely different than their business model. So, we were making things like these live streaming video cameras. They're really cool. Running Ambarella, like SOCs, tons of heat and thermal issues, high-end optics, and really beautiful design. So we were working with like one of the leading manufacturers in China, Chicony. They're now called Zavi. I was going out to Taiwan, to China, boots on the ground, working with these teams, learning like this is very different than a 3D printer. Nothing moves, but it's really small. So we were doing a lot of that. We got acquired by Vimeo, and basically they were like, we don't know what to do with the hardware team, so they spun them out. I think now they're acquired by Logitech, so it's this weird chain.
Isn't it funny how that happens? Like these companies will buy up, smaller businesses or startups, and then it's like you'll kind of get in a room and they're looking at you going like, "What do you do?" It's like, did you know when you were buying this?
It's the Nelson Baguetti in Silicon Valley. They're just sitting on the roof. And I get it, right? Like there's a lot of things that play with an acquisition. I find it really interesting too. Like, I worked at Kiva, that got acquired by Amazon, worked at MakerBot, acquired by Stratasys, worked at Mevo, got acquired by Vimeo. So I almost just want to make my resume that saying like, if you hire me, statistically, you will get acquired. It's 100%.
Right.
So like, are we in or are we out? It's been really interesting. Like each time as part of a small company, learning the startup, crazy, chaotic world, making a ton of mistakes, learning lessons. Big company comes in, slows everything down. And I guess layoffs or boredom or both. But at Vimeo, it was interesting because, as I said, team of 6. We would do product design for 6 to 8 months, design something. Then we go to China, work with it, 3 months. And then there's 3 months of sitting around because they didn't really have a huge content or like a timeline for the next product. Since it was such a small team, it wasn't like, okay, when you're done with this, like, let's start working on this. So we just played ping pong a lot. Like I got hundreds of hours of ping pong under my belt, which was fun and then really boring. And I have bad brain. I like working on things. I like, staying busy. So after hours, I started consulting and freelancing. And that's where I got exposure to a smart mirror, a kid's RC car, all at the same time, and found like, this is really fun. And tried to make that into a thing. And that's where when I met Nate, and we both were kind of on that same journey. at the same time.
Yeah.
And he was doing this on the marketing go-to-market strategy and Kickstarter campaigns. I was doing it on the hardware dev side. And we realized, like, let's work together. And so actually the first time we ever met, we started the company that day. It
Wow,
was
no
just like,
kidding.
we chatted on the phone. We met in person that night. Maybe like texted me being like, done. Papers are signed. We're ready to go. So it was really
That's
crazy.
amazing. That's a
Yeah.
huge step. Like what kind of gave you the confidence to make that move?
Have you met Nate? He's a charmer. He's like, I like to joke that Nate's like kissing the babies and shaking hands, but he's a people person. He's like
Yeah.
really, you feel heard when you talk to him. He's like so passionate about this world, and he's like that front facing element, like when you talk to an agency or something, you want somebody who's passionate about what you're working on, and Nate's that person. And the fact that we had complementary skills, like I don't like doing business development. I like working on projects, right? And I can do the stuff that he can't and vice versa. It was a really nice complementary skill set. And I was bored of doing what I was doing. So it was like a good time to try it.
Yeah, I feel like that's something I struggle with that is interesting. Like because I'm so heavy in the design world, like most of my network consists of like other designers. You know what I mean? So like there'll always be these ideas for projects, or like, you're sitting around having a drink or a cup of coffee with somebody, but then you always run into this gap of like, well, we both are kind of doing the same thing, so it doesn't necessarily like our skill sets are the same and all of our
Yeah.
gaps are the same, so it's like more difficult to get momentum on ideas, or like kind of like night owl projects or whatever it is. So that's great when you're able to like find a partner who has this kind of like totally different skill set. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's familiar with hardware, which was huge too. So it wasn't like we were in our own weird bubbles. There was a big overlap of like, he knows how to sell hardware and I know how to make hardware. So we're like, this is huge,
Yeah.
There was not a lot of like educating each other on the gaps that we're missing. And for the first few years, Nate and I were pitching on each call together and like just kind of like taking turns. It was like this dance of like, all right, Nate goes, now Sam goes. And like, just the energy was high. We were jazzed about what we were doing. And I think people picked up on that. It's definitely harder if like it was me and another mechanical engineer. I think we probably wouldn't be here, because we wouldn't know how to take the risks and like start a company. It's just like, I just want to do what I do.
Yeah, that's amazing. So tell me a little bit about Informal. Like I know a bit about it from the outside, but like for someone who's listening who's never heard of Informal, like what is the pitch?
Yeah, we are a network of over 400 experts on all facets of hardware. So that's design, engineering, manufacturing, marketing, branding, etc. That
And when you
network is
say
built.
sorry to interrupt, but like when you say
Yeah,
hardware, that's like consumer electronics more or less, right?
we've
Or
done
anything.
medical, we've done automotive, we've done robotics. So it's anything that is physical, really, that you can touch and it gets made. I would say our core competency is consumer electronics, but that doesn't mean we can't work on other things. We've done burrito holders that has no
There you go.
electronics. We've done a solar panel installation robot, an electric motorcycle, charging infrastructure. So there's like a lot of ancillary things. But basically, if you're making something more than once, if it's complicated, we can probably help. And our biggest strength is with that 400 plus network. They're all vetted through Nate and myself mostly. They're all through word of mouth referrals. So it's not like strangers reaching out to us. It's like my friend saying, you got to talk to my buddy who's a firmware developer. And that trust, that inherent trust and those connections are really strong. And then we play matchmaker, as I mentioned. So we're not putting the next person on the project. We're putting the best person on the project. So we build these teams, we manage these teams, we grow and shrink and change with the client's needs. But like, one of the more complicated things we've done is this solar speaker that I talk about all the time on calls, because it's such a cool example. The client came to us, he wanted to build this solar speaker. He was like, it should be possible. I should be able to put a speaker outside and have it recharge. It's done for landscape speakers, but I want to do it as a party speaker. And so we got hired for like concepting. What's the architecture? What are the electronics we use? How many solar panels do we need? What's the audio performance? What's the comparable product? How do they build those products? So we did a lot of the early ID work. We built like proof of concept electronics. We then built working prototypes. We did the Kickstarter campaign, their website, their branding, their logo. We ran all their ops for manufacturing. We did packaging design, and that was over, 2-ish years of different team members on and off the project at different times. He would have either had to hire each person, 17 people, or found and managed 3 or 4 agencies, right? Your design firm, your engineering firm, your manufacturing firm, your branding firm, and trying to coordinate, like, you need to give those files to that person. And so we did it all in-house, and we hopefully are cheaper and faster and more efficient because of that. But also the knowledge stays with us. So it's just really easy to like flow with their needs.
Do you find that a lot of the clients you get are sort of in that situation where they've had like maybe like one product, or they've had something that they've been able to like start their business with, and then they're kind of looking to grow or expand their portfolio? Like I have to imagine that that's probably a fairly consistent situation.
We get a lot of first time founders, people who,
Oh, interesting.
yeah, which is really fun and challenging. It's my favorite thing to do is help people understand and educate them on like injection molding tooling. 6 to 8 weeks. Can't really tiptoe around that.
Yep.
So we get a lot of first-time founders and entrepreneurs, self-funded. So there's a whole challenge there of how do we minimize burn and things. We get a fair amount of existing firms that like design and engineering firms that need to augment. And we get the occasional company that's like, we're coming to you to innovate faster. But I'd say most clients don't have something in the market yet. We're like their first time.
That's interesting. So it's like you're not only executing the development, but you're also like hand holding them probably through this experience. Like, because I think like making physical things is no joke. And it's easy to I've seen so many like founders and like small business owners just quickly get underwater and over their head because they underestimate the scale of like this Herculean like task, that they're taking on.
Yeah.
So I have to imagine it's probably like equal parts of like, okay, we're going to make this thing, but also like having that bedside manner of like, it's going to be okay. Like we're going to get through this. You know what I mean?
I'm essentially the Sherpa through the
Right.
mountain of chaos. We've written guides we have a hardware handbook, which we give out for free, which is like, here's all the acronyms you're going to see, right? Like DFM, FMEA, BOM, like all those acronyms, that alone is a gatekeeping thing accidentally, right? Where like a client doesn't know what they're doing and they see an email with a bunch of acronyms. They're like, I am out of my depth. So we made a glossary, but we also did like a breakdown of manufacturing methods. Here's when you use CNC versus SLS versus SLA, injection molding, urethane casting. Here's when you might need different team members. My goal was, if I repeated myself to a client over the last few years, like 3 times to different people, I would just sit down and write the article. And so we built up this like really cool handbook of like almost frequently asked questions, right?
That's cool.
And so it's almost a primer. If you're new to hardware, read this book. Then you'll at least have a little bit more confidence in what's going to happen next, right? Like, as you said, it's a heady project. It takes a long time and grit and perseverance and money and patience.
I have to imagine that's like a great marketing tool as well. Like if you're publishing like blog posts, so like if someone is like kicking around this idea of like, hey, I have this idea to make whatever, this party speaker. I wonder how hard this is going to be. They go to your website and they start seeing these articles of, breaking kind of like the intro to, development down. Exactly. I have to imagine that helps like just start that conversation a little bit. Yeah.
We've gotten a lot of feedback where someone's like, oh my God, I read your article on XYZ, or I saw your, like we host a lot of free resources. So like tooling cost amortization calculator, we just came out with a new version that's just easy to compare apples to apples on molding quotes. Like trying to make it easier to do this stuff so that you're not like feeling alone. We offer like fractional C-level consulting roles too. If you are a small startup and you're growing and you need someone who's done this before, you can rent out 5 hours of this person's time who's done it. And that's like a huge course correct, right? Like, I had a content call today. We're talking about, the sunken cost fallacy of like, well, I built my prototype using a Raspberry Pi. Cool. That's not a good idea if you're making 100,000. So let's stop now. Take a step back. I know this costs time and money, but if you keep going this route, it's going to cost more time and more money. So like, those kind of things, getting an expert in quickly and being like, whoa, go back a bit and turn this way.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've totally been in that situation as well. It's like you're kind of taking the shortcut to get like the proof of concept done, and then
yep,
by like 6 months later, you're kicking yourself because it's like you're almost just digging this hole that
yeah.
is increasingly like hard to pull yourself out of. Yeah,
And I think the skill is like it's fine to do that, but you need to remember to stop at some point and
right.
start again. And that's so hard. I do that in CAD when I'm 3D modeling something. I'm sure you do too. You take
Yep.
shortcuts, you leave blue sketches, you do like hacky stuff because you're like, I'm just going quick, right? But then you forget you never have that time to remodel it correctly, and then you're dealing with crappy CAD. It's that times 100 because it's electronic selections and vendors and things. Um, so it's not bad that you do that, but it's bad that you don't factor in the time to do it again the right way. And that's really
Yeah,
hard to remember, you know?
it's cool that you say that. I've been working on this project recently. I think I'm 4 or 5 weeks in, but basically what I'm trying to do is like design, develop, and sell one product per week. So it's like
Cool.
so every week I sit down, blank piece of paper, come up with an idea, sketch it out. Like you say, very loose CAD to
Yeah.
say the least. 3D print it, and then I have a little. I'm renting out like a little space in a store where I'll like put it and see if it sells. But I'm
I
running
love
into the exact thing that you're saying, which is the ones that sell quickly, like I'll put it in the shop and it sells. Then I'm like questioning, like, okay, now does this scale up? And I'll go back and I'll have to open that CAD file, and I'm like, oh, like this is
yeah,
gonna. I
you
basically have
idiot.
to like restart, more
Yep.
or less, to like actually take it seriously.
But you're doing market validation, right? Which is step one. Is
Yeah,
like, is this worth investing my time and money? And a lot of people don't even do that. But then, yeah, like, at what point do you say, okay, pencils down? Like, I'll make 50 more, and then in the meantime, while
yeah,
those are selling, I'm going to redo it the right way. That's hard
yeah,
to.
yeah,
That's really
exactly.
cool.
Yeah, yeah, it's been interesting. It's like an interesting experiment. Yeah, mostly doing it for marketing, but it's been like a cool way to just like try a bunch of stuff, and then it gets me like into like a more creative headspace too, because it's um I don't know if you run into this, and maybe this is something you deal with your clients as well, but it's so easy to like over bake an idea. I feel like product development, you run this. Someone gave me a piece of advice, like a business counselor. They were saying like never spend more than 1 to 2 months on an idea.
Hmm.
Like if you start baking it longer than that, you're gonna waste time, and
It's
you
like the
might be
long
spending
tail.
a huge amount of your time developing something that nobody wants,
Yep.
which I was totally doing. I had like these ideas that I was like writing down. I was developing them and developing the business plan and like very carefully, methodically doing everything. And then I would get 6 months down the line and realize like nobody wants this. Why have I been working on this?
Yeah.
Um, so it's been like a nice way to kind of like try to break those habits. But I don't
And
know.
when you're
Do
the
you run into
client,
that with clients or?
oh yeah, but also like when you're the person who it's your idea, I think
Yeah,
it's also hard to stop and be like, it's good enough, right? Like this
for
is better
sure.
than anything else. This is good enough. Um, and engineers particularly are bad at it, I think, because we always see a way to refine it and tweak it and adjust it. And same with designers. You're like, oh, I
Yeah.
could modify this radii or look a little bit better under these lighting conditions or whatever. Like
Yep.
no one else cares. Um, and it's a similar problem. It was like, who raises the hand and says, done, ship it? That's always hard. When we were at MakerBot, we came out with the replicator line of printers, which was like across the board a failure. Like I don't think anyone there would be mad at me saying this. Not a great printer. We spent a long time on it. It came out. It wasn't great. We learned a ton of lessons. We got burned by it, but the method printer we spent like 4 years working on because we got so burned we never released it. We kept testing and testing and testing. By the time it came out, there were other printers out there that were cheaper, faster, better because we overbaked it, right? And it's that's like in my mind that's the classic example of like you got to let it go at some point and like start fresh with a new idea. And that that was a good example of it like not happening well. Intentions are great, just like no one pressed the like big red button that's like done, project
Yeah.
done, shoot it, you know.
I have to imagine it's especially difficult too with like emerging markets, because like when a market's emerging and you're kind of having that like gold rush period, like you have to go for it. Like it behooves you as like from a business standpoint to like play in that space.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like the long-term pace of like keeping up as the like with 3D printing, just I have to imagine like there's been so much progression
Yeah.
in the last 10 years, especially like the complexity of what you're making. That's got to be like super challenging.
Yeah, and everyone is doing it this, like, using MakerBot as an example, they kind of paved the way for desktop 3D printing. So they're putting in all the hard work on establishing the
Ah,
market, the marketing around it, even certifications and criteria, filament suppliers. You know, they're the ones kind of bulldozing the field, and then all these other players can swoop in and kind of draft behind them and pass around them, right? And
right.
that's true. We see that with a lot of industries now, where it's like, I was speaking with someone at Span, the like electrical panel company,
Hmm.
and this is the first of its kind electrical panel, and so they're putting in the time and effort to create the new certs to allow for this new product to exist, a smart panel. None of the certifications were ready for this, right? So now they're putting in time, pushing for updated certs. Someone else can just come in now and be like, cool, all that work's done for me, so it's easier for me to compete in this world. So it's really interesting when you're in that new world. Someone's got to
Yeah.
like just kind of, I don't know, run ahead and take the heat.
Do you have any perspective on like if you're working with a client, say that's like in that situation where they have paved the way and now you can see the writing on the wall, right? Bunch of little startups kind of coming in behind. Like, what is the best? What would be like your best advice for like how to avoid that situation, or even is there a solution? I don't know.
Well, I mean, part of it's like, first in the market, you become the Kleenex of XYZ, right? That's everyone's goal, is the name brand associated with it. And so good
Right.
branding, good marketing, good design is like critical, because someone will copy you in anything you do at some point. If you're successful, you get copied.
Hmm. Yeah.
And so the argument is like, establish your base, become the brand that people go to, get patents if you can, and then hopefully the distinction is like, do I want the crappier one that's cheaper, or do
Hmm.
I want the one that's like really nice and premium and it's been here for a while? And that works pretty well. I don't know. It's hard. It's a weird world of like, yeah, like China doesn't necessarily validate patents. They don't care about them. So you're going to have problems eventually, but
Yeah.
it's almost a good problem. It means that you're successful enough that the idea is good. I
Yeah,
don't know.
that's a whole other conversation for sure. With like,
Yeah.
I think we're in an interesting time right now with the tariffs, and kind of what we're trying to do to combat some of that. But maybe
Yeah.
that's a rabbit hole that's not necessarily worth getting into.
I had a
Um,
rant last night to my mother-in-law about it. I was like, we can't make things anywhere else. I'm sorry. Like we, my
yeah.
stance right now is we only make things here because we have to. Uh,
Hmm.
there's a long, story there as well, but it's a very strange time for sure. And I'm quoting like this, segue, this like donut holder. I'm quoting it everywhere just to see the costs, right? And China's 7 to 10 times cheaper across the board.
Even
Um,
with everything that's going on.
It would have to be, I think, a
Wow.
1,800% tariff on this product for me to even consider going stateside.
Wow. That's
Even
interesting.
consider it, right? And that doesn't
Wow.
factor in timeline. Things like tool changes, like if I have to make modifications to the tool,
Right.
quality, material selection, um, even complexity of the molding. Yeah, it's interesting. And to use something as silly as this, right? Like it's kind of nice because it's so simple, anyone should be able to make it, but it's illuminating that we can't. I don't know. It's really strange.
It is, and it's funny. It's something that I find I have to explain a lot to like family members or friends or people who don't know anything about product development, because everybody kind of assumes like, oh, made in China equals poor quality. But I feel like
Mhm.
in a lot of cases it's almost like the opposite, because they have built these factories have built themselves into these positions. They're actually like the most forward
Yes.
experts on a lot of like molded consumer products. And it's not necessarily like, hey, because it's made here, it's low quality. It's more coming from almost like the businesses that are based here and the cost constraints that they're putting on in terms of just trying to get everything as thin as possible. Saving a couple cents here and there.
Yep.
But the reality is, like, as far as development goes, they're kind of the best people for the job right now.
Absolutely. I actually, I was thinking about this last night. I'm making a terrible graph for you right now.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, if you design something in the United States and make it in China, it's the best. If you design something in China and make it in the USA, you're gonna have a bad time. If you design something in China and make it in China, you're gonna have a bad time. it's like this weird quadrant thing. I did it wrong, but like good products are
Right.
like if it's made in
Yes.
China, but with an American design team, I find that's the
Mhm.
best balance. That's Apple, that's Google, that's all the big companies, because I think American engineers and designers are really good at pushing the limits and understanding user experience. The made in China bad stamp is because of the knockoff products, the bad products that are made at factories
Mm,
copying each other. And those are Chinese design, Chinese manufacturing. Chinese manufacturing
yeah.
is the best in the world. Chinese design is not right now. I mean,
Yeah.
we see
It's
examples
it's
like
all of
BYD, Oppo.
yeah, it's all the Amazon products where the brand is just like a bunch of capital letters that are kind
My
of
wife
like
has a
put in a
tripod
string.
stand called Joilcan,
Yes.
Joilcan. And I'm like, yeah, we're done. We nailed it.
Yep.
But like, I feel like China's great at making the things, but not at branding and designing them. And we're not good at making things, but we're good at designing them. So it's a really interesting combination.
Yeah, yeah, it is for sure.
And then like
Um,
the USA manufactured things are like a turkey tin, like a aluminum baking tray with like 6 American flags on it that you buy at the grocery store. And you're like, that was designed in America and made in America, like very proudly. Good job. But like, that's
yeah.
not our cell phone, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Your barbecue products, your lawn chairs. Yeah, yeah. That's the stuff you want made in the
Yeah,
US. Yeah.
exactly. There's a time and place for it. It's just like figuring that out and explaining to people like, we can't make an iPhone here. I'm so sorry. It's just not gonna. You're not gonna pay for it if we
Yeah,
did.
for sure. For sure. Um, okay, I'm trying to be conscious of time. I really want to talk about Dear Duncan. I have the website pulled up. I'll put it on stage here. So this website is why I reached out to you. I was showing this. So I don't have it up on my screen, but in my Gmail, like, there's the 3 categories. It's like primary, promotion, business.
Yeah,
I think in promotions, I have like 3 emails that I keep there, and it's like 2 of them are supplier references, and then one of them is an email you sent about this product, because I just think this is so. Maybe I'll scroll through this slowly. I think this is so well executed, and it's so funny. Like, I was showing it to my wife, and we're both just like cracking up, and she was telling me like, you should reach out to this. You should reach out to Sam and like talk to him on your show. I just think this is such a well executed concept, because like a lot of designers I see will work on things like this where it's like I don't know what the right way to phrase it is. It's like a fake brief from a pre-existing company, like, hey, I'm going to design a pickleball racket, but I'm going to do it from the perspective of like Nike. But I think, I don't know, there's something here, like you've really nailed like the brand language of Dunkin. It's like super humorous. I don't know, it's like very, very eye-catching. So I was just curious, like, how did this whole thing come about? Like, I live in Massachusetts, so maybe we could start with like the
yeah,
cultural relevance of Dunkin' in New England is like a real thing.
it's powerful.
Yeah,
Well, first off, I'm honored that I got inbox time and also that you showed it to your family, because that's like the goal, is make people giggle a
yeah.
little bit. Yeah, I grew up in Winchester, Mass, tiny town, I think 25,000 people. We had 2
Mhm.
Dunkin' Donuts. Like, that's insane. If you like
Yeah,
look at Google Maps, it's crazy.
yeah. I have
Uh,
4 different Dunkin' Donuts all within a 5-minute drive of my house, and
yeah,
I will say they all have a reason to exist. It's like, okay,
mhm,
this is the one that's a little further, but is the best. This is the
yep,
one that's the closest, but they kind of
no
will like mess
line.
up my drink every once in a while. You know what I mean?
Oh
This
yeah,
is the one that's like on the way to the office. That's the one I'll stop at if I'm like driving into the city. Like, they
yep.
all
Yeah.
have a reason to like have a location.
It's like a war general looked at the map. Like, if you were to take over
Right.
America in New England, this is where you put your stations of like soldiers, because it's like strategically like right around the big population densities. And but yeah, grew up in Boston. My brother is a huge Dunkin' Donuts fan as well. He went to California and there was like a desert of them. So whenever he came home, we'd like take him to
Yeah.
Dunkin'. And um, so yeah, it's just like, it's hard not to love Dunkin' Donuts in New England. Butternut donuts, particularly, they don't exist anywhere else. It's a very weird niche thing. I don't know if you've had one.
No, I
Uh,
haven't.
it's like, oh, you should try one. Go to
Okay.
one of your 5 local Dunkin' Donuts and
Yeah.
get them. But it's indescribable. It's like a coconut crumb that they like glue on the outside of the donut. I don't know, but they only do it in New England for some reason, and it's not like the manufacturing know-how there is there. It's like
Yeah.
this is a strictly regional thing.
Yeah, I don't
Um,
want to get on like a huge tangent, but I feel like the science of like fast food innovation is like endlessly fascinating. I don't know why. It's
I
just
learned a
it's
lot.
so interesting.
Oh yeah, it's crazy. To be able to mass manufacture in like regional distribution centers and get them out every day, it's nuts. And I'm learning about the behind the scenes. Like there's a place near me that makes them, and then they
Oh,
distribute to the local
interesting.
donut spots. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
I'll tell a quick side story. I watched this documentary. I wish I knew the name. I would like tell people to go watch it, but it was all about McDonald's, and there was a section in it where they were talking about even like a simple idea. Like McDonald's wanted to add a blueberry smoothie to their
hmm
menu, but when they started breaking down the manufacturing, they found out like, okay, if we bring a blueberry smoothie to market, it will use every single blueberry on Earth. So they had to like create this like long like 3-year tail of like spinning up blueberry farms purely
Jesus,
to like meet the demand of like the scale that they had. So like all that stuff is just so fascinating.
it's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I learned there's fried and there's like I call them pillowy loaves and the fried balls. There's two types of donuts, and I learned this by like Google searching and watching videos of how it's made. Like
Yeah.
they're trying to make these as fast as possible. And so there's a factory that just churns out like a million munchkins a day and just distributes them. It's crazy.
Wow.
Um, but yeah, so I've learned a lot. This project started because in COVID times we were working on burrito pop, which I think is the coolest thing I've ever worked on. It's like a chapstick tube. You put your burrito in, and it rolls up and down. So as you eat, it's
That's
like at the
awesome.
right height.
Yep.
And I was like, this is cool that I can work on this. It's so dumb, but it's so hyper specific, and it did well on Kickstarter, and it was just silly, but like well engineered. And I just wanted to do that. So
Yeah.
COVID times, things got weird, not a lot of work. I built my V1 donut holder because I was like, I love Munchkins. It'd be really funny to just make this as like a bit and share it to my friends. So I did it, and then it worked fine. And I put it off on my shelf, and it gathered dust and cobwebs, and nothing happened. And then earlier this year, I was talking to a friend about it, and he was like, "Wait, you made this thing? Like that's not just a joke." So I showed it to him, and I was like, "Okay, I need to take this one more step further." And I started playing with like, what if it had an extendable magazine? One version had like a silencer
Like
add-on.
a banana clip of Munchkins.
Yeah, so like I made this insane one, and so that was like V2, and that was really fun. And it actually had like a shaker cap, so you could shake the like butternut crumbs onto your food. And so that was really silly and stupid, and I loved it. And then started refining it with a buddy of mine who's an industrial designer. And I found like a mechanism that actually like solved critical problems. Like if you dispensed a single donut, they all fell out. So
Oh, right.
this has this like mechanism that's literally patent pending to hold the next donut in place when you dispense it so that they don't all fall out. So like real engineering time and effort went into this. It's ready for mass manufacturing. I'm like cranking them out on my 3D printers at home. It's got a belt clip and everything, and it's like ready to go.
Wow.
So I took it too far. And I took it too far to the point where I actually created a machine where you put Munchkins in and press a button, and it measures 3 dimensions and the weight and puts it in a Google sheet for me.
What?
The theory being, if I wanted to measure a ton of donuts, like I don't have the time for this. But in reality, I spent eight hours designing that, and I would have to measure, I think, like 900 donuts to recoup my time. But it's
Wow.
fun. I have it,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like a cobbled together like measuring machine.
Wait, why
But
why do they need to be measured? Because maybe this is a dumb assumption, but I'm just assuming Munchkins are like close in terms of size.
wrong.
But
They're
okay.
all crazy. Yeah, the variety is like plus or minus 11 millimeters. Um,
Oh, that's a lot.
so
Yeah. Okay.
yeah, like some are the fried ones are like a more oblong shape, and they're more spherical, and the like dough ones are a little more oblong. And
Hmm.
so the shape of this has been optimized to hit 80 percentile of all my measured donuts uh, because of this. Because I was like, oh, how hard could it be? Turns out they kind of suck. They're all different shapes, and if they're stale, they compress differently than if they're fresh. And if it's a jelly donut, it's sticky. If it's a powdered, it's slippery. Like there's actual like
Huh.
physics involved here.
Yeah.
So I just measured a ton of donuts and then did some statistical analysis on like, what percentage can I hit with a plus or minus 5 millimeter tolerance?
Right.
Can I make that work? And then I built 20 prototypes until they were working well. So there's like actual engineering and design work that goes into this thing. And
Yeah.
I'm using it as a Trojan horse to teach people that, like, yeah, this is really dumb, but I'm doing fact finding. I'm getting dimensions. I'm building prototypes. I'm evaluating them. There's actual engineering work and a story you can tell about engineering process, even with something as silly as this. So it's almost like a sneaky way in teaching people again of like, this is hard. It takes time and money and resources.
Yeah, it's a great entry point to like explain product development to people who might not, because let's be honest, like it's a stale subject. Like you and I are really passionate about this, and like I love hearing about how whatever, like the focus, like I'm looking at my audio interface, like that, the manufacturing that and the way that works is super interesting to me. 90% of people do not care. But I feel like this is a really cool gateway, and I almost imagine it would be good even for like engaging kids or like STEM, like explaining kind of this weird world that we live in to people who might not understand otherwise.
And like, this is 3D printed, so everyone thinks like,
right.
cool, you're going to go to manufacturing. Very wrong. Like this is a fundamentally non-manufacturable design, and that's fun and that's cool, and that's back to like your idea of like prototyping ideas and playing around with them. I had to rip the Band-Aid off and step back and say, like, if I want to do this legitimately, I need to design everything for mass manufacturing. So I got quotes, and like I'm working with factories and getting DFM feedback. I'm treating like this like a real project. It's just a fundamentally stupid idea that I just haven't let die yet, which is the most fun part about it.
Yeah, you got the patent?
I'm patent pending right now.
Patent pending, but it's first to file. So
first to file,
you have it. Yeah.
If you're doing a licensing agreement, right? Like that's something you can say, like, look, no one else can do this. The patent also covers ping pong balls, which is actually probably the right market here.
Oh yeah.
So like that's a good idea.
Yeah, it's funny. That's what's so interesting about ideas like this is it's usually like the repurposing or like some other perspective that actually gives it legs. Like I was talking to there's a designer who lives near here named Alan Young, who has a company called Talac House, and he was building this. He wanted to build a keychain holder. I really want to have him on the show, but he wanted to build a keychain holder for hot sauce, so you could carry hot sauce around with him.
Love it.
And then I think it was his wife or something was telling him like, nobody wants to carry around hot sauce, but I'm always losing my chapstick. And so he just like adjusted the dimensions a little bit to fit a piece of chapstick. And then it ended up being like a really successful product. But because he went down this road of like testing a very like silly idea, he was able to find the thing that was like more market relevant. So I feel like you have to kind of like have that like, I don't know if naive optimism is like the right way to describe it, but you have to be like creative and willing to like fully test the water of an idea in order to like see where it goes. Like if you just gone down the road a little bit of like the donut holder and then backed off, like, you never would have like discovered all these like patent pending mechanisms or like other use cases, or, that thing has to like gestate over a period of time.
Absolutely. It's fun to see, like, I don't know, in a year from now, am I in the world of selling this for ping pong balls or donut holders or both? It's just cool. And like, they're very different things, but they operate similarly in the mechanism, it's weird. But like golf balls won't work because they're too heavy. Like there's like, I don't know.
Oh, interesting.
But like maybe water balloons, like, I don't know, like, it can expand. The chapstick one's rad. Like I love that kind of stuff. I wanted to make some silly chapstick related products too, because I'm like, lose it all the time. I want to show it as a badge of honor that I've like held onto my chapstick until it's dead. Like that's
yeah,
that's
for
hard
sure.
to do.
So no response from Dunkin yet, huh?
No. So I recently pitched Tim Hortons on doing this in exchange for Canadian citizenship, which was my new pitch. Is like close to the border, like take me in.
Which I love the pitches too. Like the pontoon boat is cracking me up.
Oh yeah, because like I think that helped. Well, a couple things helped get eyes on it. One was I launched it on LinkedIn, which no one's ever really done before. And so, LinkedIn's all about people just like patting themselves on the back.
Yes.
It's the weirdest social network. So this cut through the static where everyone's like, wait, what the hell is this about?
And it had like good engagement. Like, did it go viral or like what was the
180,000 impressions and 40 posts and
oh, no kidding.
It was nuts for a while. Morning Brew podcast picked it up and like put it on their newsletter, which is hilarious because like I was just kind of like, I don't know, here's a dumb idea, and then it took off.
Yeah,
So
that's awesome.
launching on LinkedIn was cool, and then also the fact that I'm like, demanding for a pontoon boat is manic energy. It's insane
Yes.
to do this, and so I think that added a little bit of like, wait, is this guy serious? Is he all right? Kind of leading into that, like, the wide-eyed, like I'm insane, but like I'm also like doing it. But yeah, I made a Tim Hortons version. I made a concealed carry version, all blacked out.
Yeah. You need a camo.
Like the like filament options out there are great.
Right.
We actually just got a beautiful model made by Fresco Design in Marlboro. This is like a hand-painted SLA.
Oh,
and
nice.
It's like true colors, like on-brand colors. We're getting urethane cast units, but yeah, no traction yet from Dunkin, but I may have a way in. A couple leads in the fire that I'm working on, and like I might just mail some stuff out to them and be like, you need one. Just use it. I'm here if you want to chat. Just play with it because I think you'll like it.
And I feel like it's like some of the stuff they've been like some of their merch that they've been putting out the last couple of years. I feel like it totally fits the I don't know what the right word is, like the sensibility of kind of like what you're doing. Like it is very like you said, like manic energy. Like I have the
tracksuit.
I have the tracksuit, yeah.
Right? Like this would go well with it. A buddy of mine actually had the perfect pitch, and I don't think I've even like announced this yet, but here's the pitch, right? You get the exclusive. Boston Marathon, Dunkin Donuts hands these out pre-filled with Munchkins. It's a great running snack. It's carbs, it's sugar. And the pitch is America runs on Dunkin. It sells itself.
There you go.
It's like, what else do you need? And so I can make these for you for a few bucks. You hand them out. It's the best marketing thing ever.
And all you need is a pontoon boat. Like that's not even that much.
For a marketing budget, no, that's like a line item, right? Like
yeah.
$33,000. Like
it's a write-off.
It's a write-off. I stupidly should have asked for a much better boat, but I don't think my car can tow it. So I'm like kind of in this weird world. Like I don't want to ask for a new car also.
Well, you don't want to be greedy, I don't
want to be greedy. I'm a simple boy. And it's more for the story. It's the laugh of like, remember that time I got a pontoon boat from Dunkin Donuts versus like, I'm going to retire and go to, I don't know, Guam or something. No.
For sure.
And it's fun. The real dream is that I can do this with other companies that are like, yeah, we want to make silly products. Like, people exist doing one-offs. Unnecessary Inventions is down the road here. He does this all the time.
I really want to talk to Maddie. He's on the list as well because he just launched that thing where I think he's manufacturing like 8 products and selling them direct to market, which is like super fascinating. And going down this whole road. But it's funny. I made a similar pitch as well with some content creators because I think I see a white space in the market of, I don't know what you think, but like everybody makes merch. Everybody has like a merchandise business, but it's like how many quirky t-shirts am I going to buy? You know what I mean? Versus like products or like, whether it's useful or not. I think I don't know. It's a loose thought, but I do think there is white space with what you're doing.
Yeah. It's a moat too. Like, if you make your own thing, it's harder for other people to make their own thing like it. Like
exactly.
There's upfront investment in time and energy versus like a hat. I can make a hat tomorrow. I just got a quote on a hat last night from a bad idea. But like I think the cool thing, like Maddie is awesome. And what he's doing is really smart because he's making money off of it and he's doing it full time as a job. I'm doing this as this like maniac side gig with no direction at all, just for fun to make people giggle. He figured out a way to make people giggle and make money. And I'm like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
But then I want to make 100,000 of these, not 8. I want to use my skills as a product design engineer to like do this, right? Which is really fun. He knows when to stop and go to the next thing. And I have not learned that skill yet. So I'm just I'm beating a horse to death.
That's difficult. It's funny. I've been thinking about that a lot lately because my wife and I, we started this business this year, like I mentioned, where we're testing all these ideas. And it's interesting, trying to like find idea. Like, I don't know, like what I'm trying to say here, but like finding products that we can build a business around with like minimal capital? Like I'm not like not even a startup, but just like how do you start a small bit like a almost more traditional small business as like a person with our background
Mhm.
has been this like string I'm like trying to unravel. And I
Yeah.
think that what I'm seeing and what you might be seeing as well is I think humor is a part of it. And I think that like a designer that I really look up to a lot is Paul Rand, who was a graphic designer in like the 60s. He did like the Next logo for Steve Jobs. He did
Oh, cool.
like a lot of big logos, but he had this like very strong opinion that design should be playful. And
Mhm.
he felt like that was a unique quality that defined American design specifically because like pre-internet like um different countries were kind of like more defined in their design approach. Like Swedish
Yeah.
design was like very regimented, German design is very like functional and kind of
Yeah.
stiff. But American design, we have this kind of like wild west history and culture and background. And I think that like leaning into that is probably a good move, especially to appeal if you're going to build a business and try to sell to Americans. Like I feel like there's kind of a quality there that you almost need
Yeah.
to be able to like get momentum. Because if you come in very stiff and very like buttoned up, at least what I'm finding in like my experience is like that is a hard hurdle for like your everyday kind of working class person to get over.
Yeah.
We're very quickly to jump to like, hey, this feels pretentious or it feels stuffy. You kind of have to be like a little bit looser, I think, like with our market.
Yeah. And like, and know that, right? Like if you're
Yeah.
almost like with our website Informal, we wanted to like make a button that toggles between informal and like corporate. And when you press that button, it would
Mhm.
like change to all the like jargon. And
Yeah.
just kind of like, you have to almost take a punch at like your industry sometimes and be like, yeah, like the black t-shirt wearing industrial designers are no
Yes.
longer a thing, right? Like we need to make things that people interact with. And you're seeing that in like user interface designs getting quirky again.
Yeah.
Um, like it used to be all like very regimented and clean, and everyone's like, this is boring as hell. I want something weird. Um,
Yeah. I
we're
don't want
seeing that like,
to
yeah.
I don't want to beat a dead horse, but um we're talking was today's August 27th.
Mhm.
Um, the Cracker Barrel logo was the
Oh
big
yeah,
controversy of the week.
yeah, crazy.
The thing that's very interesting about that to me is you know, a company doing a rebrand and getting like backlash from the design community is pretty common. Like designers are always upset about
Yeah,
something because we all feel like we could have done a better job at the end of the day. But what's interesting about
yeah.
this in particular is this has been way more widespread, I think, throughout the country. Like I'm listening to like regular, like almost like comedy podcasts, and like people who know nothing about design are like talking about this almost as if they understand design. And to me,
Mhm.
that is like super interesting. I think that people are kind of broadly done with like minimalist stuffy design. Like that's kind of what I'm taking away from all this. Isn't necessarily like, hey, look,
Yeah,
Cracker Barrel did a bad logo. What's interesting to me is like, hey, look at the way people are reacting to this. And there's almost this like preference for things that are like more traditional or more like illustrative or like have more heart and
yeah,
character to them. And I think that that's like, I don't know. I think we're at like this very interesting turning point
yeah.
where we're going to see like the visual language of things changing a lot in the next like 5 to 10 years.
What I think is funny with the Cracker Barrel thing too is, behind the scenes, they probably paid $500,000 to an agency
Oh, for
who
sure.
showed them 100 options, and they did the whole song and dance. And, this is evocative of an earlier time, and it's simple. And so the C-level guys are like, sick, we're in, like this is how that works, is they kind of sell them on the idea and the vision. But they never like showed it to other people who are like, that's dumb. Like they're
Yeah.
missing that feedback loop of like, who's going to Cracker Barrel, show them the logo and see what they want. It was all design world, like 1990s design firm stuff where like
Yep.
you put your feet up on the table and you smoke a cigarette kind of thing, and you
Totally.
like tell people what is design. I think that's dead, and I think it's more, what do people want?
Yeah. Like those days are done. And I almost think we're going to start getting back to almost like where design was in like the 40s, 50s, 60s, where it is a little bit more not commodity, but just like doing the right work for what is required. Um and
It'd be
really like
nice.
understanding the brief, understanding the market, and like putting your ego aside, I think we're going to kind of I'm hoping, I don't know, hopefully we'll have an era where that's a bit more like the case.
And I use this analogy often. I also just realized I have a call in a minute.
We'll wrap up.
I use this analogy. I say industrial designers are a gas, and they will take up the space you give them. And so part of your job as a client or a manager is defining the environment in which to play. And that's not a bad thing for designers. They're supposed to be heady and look around and push boundaries. But if you don't constrain that environment, you spend time and money on the wrong thing. Where engineers are solids and they just kind of like sit there and they do only what is needed and required. And in reality, I think the best people are like a liquid where they can kind of like flow and change with the requirements, but they're not taking up too much space or too little space. It's that flexibility you need. And so trying to play around with that analogy more because I'm like a nerd, but I think it's that you need to be liquid. You need to flow and change based on criteria, but also not just like take up as much space as possible. And it's a hard thing to find.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that's probably the best note to end on. And we'll get you out of here. Dude, thanks for coming on. It was great to meet you. And it's great to like have this conversation. Like I always feel like this podcast is just a nice excuse to like meet new people and learn about like their backgrounds and like what they're passionate about. It like if people want to follow up with you, like what's the best way to get in touch?
Yeah, I mean, I'll drop my email, sam@informal.cc, or find us on LinkedIn, our website, deardunkin.com. You know, I'm perpetually online. It's a curse, but I will reply to any and all emails and LinkedIn messages.
Awesome. Well, cool. Thanks, Sam. Thanks for coming on, man.
Right. Yeah.
This video is brought to you by our online store, Beyond the Village. You can head over to btvdesign.com to shop a wide variety of vintage finds as well as antiques. Sign up for our mailing list. You get 10% off and you'll be the first to know about new drops. You can also follow us on Instagram if you prefer to get updates that way at beyond_the_village. In our shop, we sell a wide variety of antiques, everything from glass catch-alls to some books as well. So check that out if you're interested. Before you buy, you can shop the rug zine, which goes through kind of the history of antique and vintage oriental rugs, as well as some of the best styles. Strappies are a particular favorite of mine. The Murano glass zine, which goes over what to look for if you're shopping for art glass, or if you'd like to learn a little bit more about art glass before you buy something from our shop, you can flip through this as well. And then finally, the pattern and texture zine, which features some of my 3D work that I've done in the past, as well as some just history on patterns, where patterns come from, how designers pull them from nature to architecture, and then everything in between as well. Lastly, we also have on our shop some merch. So I just had these hats made. You can get, they're fully corduroy, really high quality with kind of our embroidered logo on the front. So that's another way you can support us as well. Again, every purchase means a lot to us and helps us support our family and get that diaper money for our kids. So head over to our website, sign up for our newsletter, follow us on Instagram, and now back to the video.